Sorry, we're already. Oh my God.
Well
Got
done,
you.
man.
Oh,
Well done.
okay. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Marcus, how you doing, my man?
Oh my God, I can't wait until Christmas. This crazy year should go, away.
It has
But
been a
almost.
very busy few weeks for both of us from, what we've been discussing offline, but I'm very excited to be here. We missed out last week. So, I'm super excited to get into the stream this evening.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's do it. So, what's the topic actually? We're just
Well,
doing some QAs and talking about the G5. I'm not going to buy.
yeah. Well,
You never know.
so I actually wanted to follow up again, and I know it's kind of a reoccurring topic, but I'm actually very curious myself personally because I invested heavily into the G5 with the 83 inch. And while we were together, you were always telling me about the QD OLEDs and things like that. And so I'm guessing, or I would like to know now that you've had, what's this now, coming on 3 weeks with your G4.
Mhm.
What's your thoughts now? Like last time we discussed, it was still early days. So how are you feeling now? What are your thoughts on the QD OLED, the G5, MLA, all this kind of stuff? Talk to me.
I mean, look, so in terms of, let's start with the bad things, okay? In terms of the uniformity issues, which are still there, not visible when you play normal content, but you can see it if you test it with test pattern, but that's on all the TVs. But if I have to rank it, actually, I would say my CX is the worst one, then the G4, and then the G2. Of course, not talking about QD OLED, which is top, of course. So QD OLED is top in this case. But the G4 is not as good as my G2. Not at all. So uniformity-wise.
Uniformity-wise.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
uniformity-wise.
I had zero uniformity issues with my 83-inch G4. So maybe you got unlucky. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's just panel lottery strikes again?
I don't know. I talked to Classy about this, and he's saying that all G4s having now, or with the MLA layer, they introduced actually worse, uniformity, because additional layer. So of course it's a little bit more or bad, or worse. But I'm not sure. Maybe I'm a little bit unlucky, So, but let me make this clear. It's not distracting doing any content or whatsoever. It's really just now when you look at a 5% pattern, or when you have a gray background or whatsoever, and then you can spot it. But if you play something, if you watch something, there's no way you can actually see this, to be very honest. So the CX, on the other hand, I can easily spot this doing content as well. Okay, so CX is the worst.
Okay, let me ask you, because I try to be a bit more of a
Plasma, Ariel.
Plasma.
You want to jump in?
Hey, Plasma, jump in, man. Let me ask you, because I'm a bit more of a generalist, Marcus. So I obviously do the more hardcore stuff like you do. I do look at test patterns. I do like to test things and kind of get those scientific numbers and analysis. But do you feel like you might be doing a little bit of a disservice to the community when you say, oh, the G2 is better than the G4 in terms of panel uniformity? Do you feel like, I know you're being honest and truthful, which is great, but I guess the point I'm leading to is, if you didn't run test patterns, you would never see it. So it's like you're going and looking for something. So like if you're not running test patterns and you're watching movies and games and things like that, do you feel like saying those things do you just feel like that's just you being honest, or do you feel like people really need to know about that stuff? Like how do you process that?
So the thing is, why I actually use test pattern at some point is because I turned on the TV and I was shocked, because I could clearly see an issue with panel uniformity. And that's when I loaded up a couple of test patterns, and I was just shocked, because I haven't seen a worse panel in ages, to be very honest. So, right. But then after a couple of, so it's not, that's something what people need to know, that so OLED TVs need to break in, full stop. But I haven't had this experience with the CX or the G2, So maybe I was watching something different back then, or I didn't know much about, or I wasn't taking yeah, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't looking enough, or I don't know, carefully. I don't know, but it was just yeah. That's why I found it. I don't think I'm. No, I think the people should know when they're paying 5,000 or whatever Australian dollars
Yeah.
that they can expect some issues in the beginning.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess from my perspective, I'm just trying to play both sides of the fence, because I think it's good to know, and it's good that you're presenting the honest truth. I'm not denying that. I'm not trying to stick up for LG in that sense. I just feel like sometimes, like, I think when I read that, I feel like, oh, the G4 is not a good TV because Marcus is saying the G2 is better, when hands down the G4 smokes the G2. It's leaps in front of it. But I just feel like things in terms of like panel uniformity, most people would never ever come across that in their normal TV life.
I would even be careful with saying the G4 smokes the G2 because so I did. So it's not undeniable that the G4 is much brighter and has the better picture quality. Full stop. Okay, so that's how it is. But it's not like a day and night difference. So I would even say if you have a G2, there's no point to upgrade to a G4. You're not getting this step. You know what I mean? So because what I have done is I have finished my recording with the CX, G2, and G4. I recorded the Spears and Mansell test DVD, which is brilliant in terms of reference material. And I recorded Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man. And it's really interesting. So the reason why I've done this, the two games, is actually because they're supporting the system calibration. So you can't do anything wrong. Or let's say like this, you set it up and it should be okay. But it's really interesting because, and you will see this in my video, the Spears and Mansell DVD, so real content, real HDR content shows actually the biggest difference. But the game actually, it is very hard to say, oh my God, the G4 is better.
So it's interesting. Can I stop you there? When you were at my place and we're watching on the 83-inch G4, I remember you going like, holy moly, like this TV is ridiculous. So it sounds like you're getting a different experience.
So the thing is why I haven't uploaded this video so far, because I need to find out why. So first of all, of course, 83 inch is massive. And if you have now 1,500 nits blowing in your face, 83 inch is a cinema experience, okay? If you have now a 65 inch, it's a different story. But I have the feeling that also, of course, not just the feeling, that's the fact. Our eyes are working differently than a camera, okay? So what the camera is recording and seeing, even I'm not changing the setting, is a complete different experience or story compared to what my eyes are seeing, So I put so what I found is, as soon as I turned the G4 on and I watched the material, what I usually watch, I said, oh my God, this TV is much brighter, even without having the G2 next to each other, okay? So that's how it is. I turned on the CX and I said, oh my God, is this dull actually, So, but the camera is showing, okay, yeah, it is brighter, and but it is a different experience, because you're looking at the same picture at the same time and you just see the G4 and the CX or whatever. And yes, you can see it's brighter, but the eyes or the brain is not realizing that there's a big difference. Right. So the camera is not telling the full truth, in my opinion.
Sure. It's one point you just mentioned earlier is you wouldn't recommend someone to upgrade from a G2 to a G4. And that's something I've always said on our live streams. I have a G1 77 and a C1 83-inch, and I still would recommend people to not upgrade those. They're still good enough. So you're certainly correct there. It's just I find it very interesting when you just say, oh, my G2 in some ways is better than my G4. I find that it's very interesting for me. It's hard to understand how that could even be close.
So to make this very clear, I would never put the G2 back in here, okay? The G4 stays. So the G4 is in all disciplines or all categories the better TV, okay? But it's not that you must upgrade from a G2. It's not. A CX is a completely different story, because, we have a very dull HDR picture on the CX, even with dynamic tone mapping on. It's not comparable anymore. We're talking about twice the brightness on the G4. And that's absolutely visible.
You don't watch much movies, do you?
If I watch on the S95C.
Yeah, that's interesting because a lot of the feedback from my own experience and from doing a lot of reading and listening to all the other guys is that's where the G4 really shines, is when you're like the new processor, the MLA layer. That's where you get a lot of the benefit that you're probably not a huge movie buff. You don't sit down and watch movies regularly. So I think maybe that's a piece of the TV you're not utilizing a lot. But no, it's interesting, man. But I'll let you get to this question. It's been hanging here for a minute, so let's go for it.
Okay, Plumber04. This question is from Marcus. I have the PlayStation 5 Pro hooked up on my LG 42-inch. Which is better to have on for gaming, HDRG or true tone mapping? I noticed when I had HDRG, the picture was dark. True tone mapping. You talking about dynamic tone mapping on probably, or? I mean, this is a personal decision, to be honest. What you like better? That's it. Adam likes dynamic tone mapping on, but it's not even like that. You know, it depends on the game as well. That's the thing. You know.
Oh man, I was watching your stream with Plasma the other day about the best HDR games, right?
Yeah.
And there was one game I was hoping you were going to mention. It's not a 2024 game, but do you remember we were playing it at my place, and you were like, "Wow, this game." Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Battlefront, yes.
Yeah. So for those of you who are watching and who have a modern OLED, if you want to see a game that has incredible HDR and graphics, it's an Xbox One generation game, go and check out. And if Plasma TV, he's probably gone. If he's watching Star Wars Battlefront 2, man, I want you to go and try that game. In my opinion, that's one of the best HDR presentations I've ever seen in a game.
It looks incredible.
And you're right. I always turn on dynamic tone mapping. And then when you came to my place and we were going through different games and we turned it off, I found that the games that were mastered correctly didn't need dynamic tone mapping turned on to get the HDR brightness. That game just had such high punch and just had such subtle, like such a low black floor. So one of my big recommendations. I listened to that whole thing. I was wondering if you were going to mention it. Must have slipped your mind.
No, yeah, probably, yeah. But it was about 2024 HDR. But you're absolutely right. I never played this game, and I was like, okay, this is so old. It looks that great.
Yeah, very good looking game.
No, absolutely. Yes, we are doing good. Hopefully, you're too.
Ready to kill. Thank you for joining us, my friends. And yes, a few people are saying Christmas is in 1 week, and we have to discuss if we're going to do a Christmas, because I think that falls next Wednesday. If we're going to do a Christmas stream or if we're going to scrub it, we'll see how we go leading up to next Wednesday.
I think I don't have time anyway. You know, we have full house and whatever, and every time, you know how it is. All the friends are over and whatever. And this family thing, you know.
Yes, family is important.
No, but it's good. That's good.
So yeah, I get it, man. It's all good. So just for those in the chat, so today's stream, we would love to answer questions. We'll kind of get through them as we go, and then I thought it would be fun to maybe do a little bit of predictions for next year before all the news breaks. I want to see if I can get some Marcus's crystal ball out and see if we can get some information from him. But Gen X in the Wild said Telefunken at CES 2025. So I actually, if you did catch Marcus and our video together where we had a Telefunken TV in the studio behind me, I actually did a quick review on that TV before I sent it back. Long story short, but that video should be out soon. So I actually did a proper review, build quality, checked out the TV and all that. So I don't know if Telefunken will be at CES, but that would be pretty interesting. But I tell you what, at least in Australia, they have a very compelling product for the price. So yeah, very, very, very cool comment there. So did you have
Let me bring this one up. This is absolutely gaming related. Would you rather eat Hawaiian pizza or hot dog? So first of all, if a pizza contains
don't do it. Don't do it, Marcus. Don't do
then it's what is the English name? Ananas, pineapples. It's a cake. It's not a pizza anymore. Okay. No, thank you very much. Anyway, but he's right. Toxmod is absolutely right. In a dark room, all OLEDs are better. Full stop. That's how it is. Absolutely right. There's no doubt. Even in a bright room, I would never. Okay, in a very, very, very bright room, as LCD is probably better. But even then, you
Look,
never
modern
watch.
OLEDs
Why
are fine.
would you watch a movie in a very bright room? It doesn't make sense because you have also all the distraction, on the screen.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
And look, anything from a G4 and newer, they are bright enough. You're not going to have they can keep up with the good LCD TVs these days. So I wouldn't stress too much about that. And I guess I just want to reiterate that when Marcus does his streams with Plasma, which I do watch. If I don't watch them live, I listen to them later. And when we have our discussions, I just want to keep reminding people that when we're saying the G4 is better or the S95, what is it now, D or 90D, when we say one is better than the other, please just keep in mind, because I don't want to confuse people, because I have had a few people email me and ask me deeper questions. It's like, man, we're talking 1 or 2, 3, 4% differences. So if you end up getting an S90C, D, G4, whatever it may be, don't think, oh, I need to send it back and get the other one. I've missed out. Like, you're talking very small differences. In some cases, one's better than the other. So just keep that in perspective, because I have had a few people reach out and, did I make a mistake? I got the G4, or did I make a mistake? I got the Samsung.
You didn't make a mistake. No worries.
Yeah. The fact you got an OLED, you made the right choice.
Absolutely. So Grubinger is asking, should we always turn the picture sharpness to 0 for gaming on PlayStation 5, Xbox for LG OLED? So I learned something actually. So Classy told me that if the signal is a 4K signal, sharpness 10 is not doing anything to the picture. So sharpness 10 is basically sharpness 0 then. If then sharpness 11, it's doing something. But if now, on the same input, instead of a 4K signal, you have let's say a 1440p signal, then sharpness would do something. So my recommendation is still put it to 0, because you don't want to have any additional sharpening. So 0 is the neutral sharpening on LG OLED TVs, okay? But
so
again, I learned something.
That? So who told you this, Classy, when you are receiving a 4K signal, the sharpness...
Yeah.
Go on.
Let's say you put your PlayStation 5 or Xbox on 4K output. Doesn't matter what the internal resolution of the game is, you're outputting 4K. Yeah. Sharpness 10 doesn't change anything on the picture. You can change between 0 and 10. It will not change anything. But as soon you would change, let's say, the output resolution to 1440p, 0 to 10 would change the picture. So that's how he explained it to me.
I wonder how he came to determine this.
Or because you can test it, and I never tested it. That's how it is.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just interested, because if the option's there and it's available and you can change it and manipulate it, I would assume if it doesn't do anything, they would have grayed that out. But it's cool information. Yeah. Good to know.
That's good. Oh yeah, this one, yeah. What are we buying first, huh? 5090 Switch? Oh, Switch 2 is a must buy. Even Switch 2, this one, I need to dust it up. Because and I never use it. And this is a shame, because we have one of the best games on the Switch, full stop. Regardless if you're PlayStation fanboy, Xbox fanboy, Switch offers the best gameplay, but not in the best technical performance. That's a problem. But let's see Switch 2.
That's one thing I love about the Nintendo Switch, is that it's not trying to be a graphical powerhouse, and it just shows you. I think Sony and Microsoft could learn a lot from Nintendo, because they're just battling for the highest performance and power, and yet Nintendo are on this ancient little machine that's been out for 7 years on a little mobile chip, and their games are so captivating and so amazing at storytelling. It just shows you the quality of the game doesn't rely on a high horsepower type of machine to run it. You can run amazing, captivating games on a low powered system, which I think Nintendo just nails every time. So I can't wait for the Switch 2.
Yeah, now the problem what I have is, the Switch 2 is a handheld device, for a portable handheld device. I never considered the Switch as a unit, what you play at home, on the couch. This is something for me you take on holidays and whatsoever, for a rainy day or whatsoever. But then on the other hand, games like Zelda, you can't just play them for half an hour, It doesn't work like that, So that's what I think the Switch is. I don't know what I should think about that. I would love to play Zelda, but as soon I put Zelda on a 65-inch screen, it looks ugly. Sorry.
Really?
And then on top, it looks ugly, and then on top you have 30 FPS. No, I don't
See,
like it. I can't.
I would
can't
see. I
play
say
it.
the opposite. On my 100-inch TV, I love playing Mario 3D World. I love playing those games. I love Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I don't know what the resolution of that game is. I don't know what I know it's like a 1080p maximum output, but I think those games look so pretty, so sharp on my 100-inch. But mind you, that's a 2D game that runs at 60 hertz. It's side scrolling.
Correct. So we need to. We can't compare Zelda open world game with the 2Ds or also 3D jump and run, but much better quality,
side scrolling.
Better. The latest Super Mario game what I have looks oh my god, looks amazing on my OLED TV. There's no problem. It's a clean picture and stuff like that. But compare this with Zelda, the open world game 3D. This is not nice. You have aliasing everywhere and stuff like that. No, I don't like it. It's just not powerful enough.
Yeah. Let's get to this question because I always like these kind of questions here. So LJ, I have a LG C9 and it's about time to upgrade this year, but I'm struggling to buy a TV for gaming when these new gaming OLED monitors are really good and come in up to 360 hertz. So do you mind if I just jump on that first before you attack it, Marcus? So first of all, if you have a C9, why did you buy that if you're a PC gamer? Maybe just because I don't know if OLED monitors for PCs were kind of around at that stage.
Then,
I could be wrong, but if you are a PC gamer, like I think you can't be looking at TVs. Like I think this year they're looking at the 165 hertz for the new LGs. So you're still falling very short of your, 360 hertz refresh rate. So, C9 is still a good TV, even for console gaming. So it's just one of those things, man. I think, if you're looking for that kind of refresh rate, you're looking in the wrong category. You shouldn't be buying a TV at all because you're not even going to get close. What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, the same. If you're like 360 hertz or more, 480, no TV. But the thing is with the monitors, they're overpriced compared to TVs in terms of size, and not offering the functionality. So that's my opinion. But if you need so I would like to have a curved monitor. When I looked at the Alienware monitor, which is apparently one of the best QD OLED what you can buy, but the HDR performance is just awful, to be very honest, compared to all the other TVs what I have in the house. Nah, and I'm not spending $1,500 for a 34-inch monitor. That's too much money.
Remember in the early days, the TV OLEDs were curved. Do you remember them? A long time ago, LG used to release curved TVs.
Yes, there was something. Yeah. But I mean, the problem with TVs is, usually they're in the living room and you have a family sitting in front of it, so it doesn't make much sense. But I would, for my setup, I would like to have a curved screen because it is just much better.
Oh, imagine like a 65-inch curved G5, like something like that would be so cool. But because I've seen those setups where they have 3 displays, one in the center and 2 on the outside, so you get your peripheral vision. And I used to like that fact that it could kind of get that outside vision. But man, I think if you're looking for that kind of refresh rate, TVs is just out of the question for you. So. Let's move on to the next one. So, Yoked, how come our phones with OLEDs go 1,000 plus nits in the sun, yet somehow monitors with unlimited power supply are like 250 nits? Surely it's mainly to prevent burn-in. Marcus?
Good question. I think it has to do, first of all, with power consumption, because we're talking about pixels, they're much bigger. And probably also it's a heat problem, because also we have bigger pixels, so that's a problem. And my burn-in, I mean, to be honest, I mean, the OLED screens on the phones are also OLED screens. You know what I mean? If there would be a concern about burn-in, then they wouldn't do that. You know, and I haven't heard. So I don't know. Do you know anyone with an OLED screen on a phone which is complaining about burn-in?
Yeah, that's something I've actually pondered quite a bit. Like, I've got OLED phones. Everyone has an OLED phone these days, and you never hear people complaining about OLED burn-in. And these phones have static elements like full time. So I actually think the phones have a different structure. I think they are just RGB. I remember Samsung has like a Super AMOLED. It's a different setup.
It's not the same display exactly, but it's also from the main technology, as far as I understand, OLED. You know what I mean? So it should be more or less the same, but but I know it's mainly for screens and something like that. It's mainly the power consumption. Mainly, you know, and of course heat. So I mean, you know, it's when you turn on your G4, this is a heat. I don't know, in the winter time you don't need to turn anything else on. This is increasing the room temperature like crazy. Not just the G4, also the S95D what I have, see what I have, the CX before and whatever. They're crazy, you know, and that's of course a problem as well.
Yeah. Actually, we'll get to that. I have some more questions around that, but
I always use sharpness 12 on my C2. Seems perfect for me. Go for it. If you like this, go for it. What else? Oh, we have Metroid Prime 4. I want. Oh yeah, this. Oh, they releasing this on the old Switch still. No, I'm not sure. I'm not. You know, I'm not familiar with game releases on the Switch at all. You know, I'm always surprised when something pops up. But Metroid Prime is a must buy anyway. You know.
Never played that game. It's good, yeah.
Oh my god! I think was it not one of the first? Anyway, it wasn't the first 3D shooter or whatever, but it was the first where it was just revolutionary, you know, back then for the N64. I can't even remember when the first Metroid game was released. It was amazing. Hey Marcus, will you ever make a video showing your room tour? So that's my room. That's it.
tour completed.
Done. You're done. No, there's not much to show actually, because in this, you know, in front of this, there's just one PC, a monitor, a little bit window. Everything is here, and then I have my cinema room, which is also boring. You know, there's not much to show. You know, I have not like big cinemas room like other people, but that's all what you need. It's more than enough.
All right.
This one
here. Okay.
Regarding Space Marine 2, if you ever played again, the internet recommends to set the game to min brightness 0.6, max brightness 2.5, last setting to 1.0. It takes away a lot of the washed out color, even if it's a little dark. I'm not sure what my recommendation was back then. I think I can't remember really. I would say something wrong probably right now. But I know that the standard factory setting were not perfect out of the box. And we're talking about SDR. There's no HDR support.
I feel that's something console. I guess what's the word? The owners, the creators, Sony, Microsoft, they need to take control of this. Obviously, the Xbox has the HDR calibration tool, which is very rarely used because most games come out with their own HDR calibration, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I think console makers need to get in front of this and just take control. When the game is submitted, they need to basically do their own calibration and set up so it performs correctly with their HDR calibration tool. I think that is just such a silly thing. And thankfully, people like you who are making insane amounts of videos about every single damn game and the settings we need to achieve the best picture quality. I just think that is such an oversight, and I don't know why this is still happening today. It's I think it's really silly in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't understand it because I have seen so many games, you know, with out of the box setting, and they're really, really terrible, absolutely terrible, and you can't understand why they're doing this. Because even I mean, look, even if you have a high-end TV and you have terrible out of the box setting, those settings are not going to be better on a very bad monitor. It's even worse than, you know what I mean? So I don't understand it. How can you do this? But lately, the latest games like Indiana Jones have very good out-of-the-box settings, you know, because we need also to consider that most of the people don't even know what the settings are doing, or they even don't know opening the option menu. They just like to start playing, which I fully understand, you know?
Yeah. And you make a very good point there, because I think a lot of people, particularly people I play with on Xbox, when I'm on my headset just chatting with random people, I often find people have just either they don't care what TV they've purchased, or they've purchased a good, reasonably good TV and they haven't turned on HDR. They haven't done calibrations. They don't care about those settings. They plug it in, it works, they leave it. And that's why I feel like these companies need to get in front of this and have some sort of, at least, you know, a lot of the consoles now, when you plug them into modern TVs, they'll say, oh, hello, this TV supports HDR. Do you want to turn that on? Great. Step one. But a lot of the HDR calibration and settings you come up with, Marcus, people just don't do them, and they don't know about them. And so I think that's like a disservice. A lot of people are playing games at subpar quality when they could really be enjoying a much better image.
So someone, one of my followers on X, made actually a very good comment, because he would actually like to see that the game reviewers actually taking points off if the out-of-the-box settings are bad. But the problem what I have, and what I think is most of the time happening, most of the game reviewers, they don't give a shit about that, because they're just happy that they're getting an early review code and getting the views and whatsoever. They don't give a crap actually what the game is really about, because I have seen so many game reviews for certain games where they're missing out things, and not just small channels, also big channels. So it's very hard actually to trust anyone, actually, in my opinion, on YouTube. So don't trust me, okay? No, but I think that's the thing. We have a super chat. Thank you very much, Chad. Hope you're doing good. What do you think of LG dropping out of Blu-ray drive manufacturing? Yeah, I read about this. Only Panasonic and Sony left. The end of for physical media gets closer and closer. Yeah, I mean, I don't know when I used the last time a Blu-ray, to be honest, but that's how it is.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the super chat. I personally, I don't like that we're going full that we're losing physical medias. The main reason is not because I like to collect them or whatsoever, but they're just cheaper here in Australia. That's the fact. You know what I mean? It's just cheaper to buy a physical game than digital one.
Yeah, I might jump in on that, Chad, and thank you for the super chat, Chad. So I think at most of the time, it generally is a business decision. Most of these companies are just basically saying, you know, this is not making enough money. We're no point in us continuing. Particularly LG seems to be on the decline now. They are losing a lot of market share to Hisense, TCL, even Samsung is at the moment. So at least, I guess, when you're talking about the Blu-ray drives, I would assume you're referring to movies, because there's no Panasonic console. Not that I will know modern console. For me personally, I just want to add on that. So I didn't really care. Like DVDs, I was all in. Streaming was awesome. But until I got a relatively high-end setup, I didn't care about Blu-rays. But now I've got my G4 83. I've got a nice receiver. I've got 5.1.4. So I've got Dolby Atmos. Then I care about Blu-rays, because that's when it comes with all the fully uncompressed audio tracks where I can get all the Atmos effects sounds in the roof. And until I had that, I didn't really care. And I would say not the majority of people don't have an Atmos system, a true Atmos system, just because like a soundbar or a TV says, oh, it's got Dolby Atmos. That is not Dolby Atmos. Let me just put a foot down. That's something that really pisses me off, because it's just like when TVs put HDR on the box. It's not HDR. It means you can turn it on, but it doesn't mean what you're seeing is HDR. Same with Atmos. Just because the little TCL TV says Atmos sound on it, you're not hearing Atmos. But I digress. But yeah, in terms of that, I feel like unless you've got a really high end setup, most people don't care. And now I care. And yeah, when I watch a movie and I'm like, this is sick, I actually go out and buy the Blu-ray to rewatch it and enjoy it in its complete, full quality, full cream milk kind of. I want everything, the best HDR, no compression on the video, uncompressed audio. So yeah, it's tricky, man, because I can see why people don't care. Netflix is so easy. It's prolific. There's just everywhere is streaming. And that's what they want. They want us to insert the credit card every month.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's sad, man. And I was watching a few videos about the Xbox and PlayStation Blu-ray movie playback. And a lot of people were saying that the PlayStation is a bit better for watching Blu-rays. But yeah, it's tricky, man. Hopefully we don't descend into a fully digital world because
we will at some point.
Good. Yeah,
which is bad because you don't own anything then. You just turn off the server or whatever. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And you pay $110.
That's true. Very true.
Thanks, Chad. Would you consider IPS technology crappy? Depends for what you're using it. If you like to play games, then yes. If you like to use it for work-related stuff, then no.
Everything has its place, man. Yeah.
So I would not. So if I would just need a computer just for working-related stuff, 24 hours, I would not put an OLED screen in. Full stop. That's how it is. Because then I don't need to care. They just get a really good IPS panel, with great color production, reproduction, or whatsoever, and I don't need to care about static symbols or whatsoever. That's the thing. And to be honest, just for work-related stuff, you don't need an OLED. No.
Yeah. And I'm just going to quickly jump ahead to another comment. So Chad just said, I use my SteelSeries headset for Atmos. And I know they are sick headphones, but that's not Atmos. So I don't mean to sound rude, but that's the thing. Atmos is where you get 4 or 6 channels above your head in the roof, downward facing. That's where you get these positional kind of sound effects. You can't replicate that through sound bars and headphones. I've got a really sick Samsung high-end sound bar where it's got 11 channels in the front, a sub, 2 satellite speakers with the bed layer, and then it's also got upward firing Atmos. It's not Atmos.
No, it's not.
So when you experience real Atmos, when you go into a room where you've got your 5.1, 7.1 bed layer, and then you've got your 4 or your 6 Atmos speakers, man, and you hear it, there's no comparison to separates. So
I was back then in Germany when I still lived in Germany. I was in the Harman and Kardon reference room in Munich, and they have rooms set up just for showing one speaker setup or whatsoever. And there's 1 or 2 people, on a place, on a chair, whatever, because you need to sit in the right spot as well to experience this. And this is just wow. This is just wow. Even you go into a cinema and you consider one of Cineplex is one of the best cinemas or whatever. It's crap compared to this. It's just crap. It is. That's how it is. If you have a proper setup with proper sound tuning of the walls or the room itself, oh my God, you have no idea what real sound is. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no limit. I know personally some individuals that have spent over $150,000 on their audio, and that is considered somewhat still conservative. So the sky is the truly the limit when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, but look, SteelSeries still good, man. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that's terrible, but yeah, when you have real Atmos, man, you'll understand. Yeah. So let's just jump onto this one. Yep. Is that all right? From Ashtir. So don't forget the new WHVA panels. They promise viewing angles equal to an OLED or /IPS. and 1 millisecond response time and more contrast. At the moment, it is confirmed they will be used by TCL and Samsung. I don't know enough about them right now. I haven't done my reading, but 1 millisecond response time, I would like to know more about the pixel response time. So we touched on that last live stream. If you guys, I kind of brought up some mathematical equations because refresh rate hertz is very different to pixel response times. And if you watch some of the Vincent Teo videos where he talks about pixel response times, just because you're getting 120 hertz, 144 hertz, and so on, if you are using a TV with a low pixel response time, yeah, you're getting that refresh rate, but you are getting smearing because the pixels need to be faster as well. So do you have anything to add on that, Marcus? I'm not too familiar with the
I have no idea what a
yet.
WHVA panel is, and yes, you're right. So I mean, so first of all, personally, I don't care about viewing angles a lot because I don't. So first of all, when you like to spend $5,000 or whatever on a TV, then you should have already a room set up for this. Otherwise, just get a $500 TV, and it doesn't matter what technology it is. But if you like to have proper experience, TV, gaming, or whatever, then you have to sit in front anyway. So that's viewing angles. To be very honest, of course it's better on OLED and IPS, but it's not the important part. But pixel response time is very important. Absolutely.
Very. Yeah, and I think it's something that's overlooked. As I mentioned last live stream we had, I think it's something that's very overlooked because we are seeing these, at least in Australia, sub $2,000 TVs, 98-inch, 100-inch, saying 144 hertz refresh rate. And I'm like, okay, this is cool, but the pixel response time, just because you're getting 144 hertz out of a 98-inch TV, don't think you're getting anything close to OLED-like performance. And I'm not talking about picture quality. I'm talking about just the clarity when you move and you do things on the screen. So look into pixel response times. And if you want to know more about that, check out our previous live stream. I actually brought up some mathematical equations showing you how fast pixels need to respond in order to keep up with refresh rate. So obviously the higher the refresh rate goes, 120, 144, 165, whatever it may be, the pixel response needs to be better and better. So a lot of these TVs that are saying 144 hertz, 98 inches, $2,000, you are not going to have a good gaming experience at that refresh rate. So yeah,
so
cool comment.
That's a follow-up question, actually. So would you consider IPS as updated technology? No, I would not. And is it still good enough for gaming? This depends on you. So IPS has the worst black level out of all technologies what you can buy, but has the best viewing angles and the best colors. So VA is actually not bad. So I would, if you go LCD, I would actually recommend VA, to be very honest, VA technology, because you get much deeper blacks, which is much more important than viewing angles because you sit in front of the monitor anyway. So IPS is really just if you like to have the best color reproduction, I think IPS was color reproduction the best. I think so. Just put in the comment section if I'm wrong. But if you need something like that for if you do a picture, whatever you work on, whatever movies,
Graphic
editing,
design.
whatever, IPS, then. But gaming, never IPS. I would not.
Well, that's where local dimming and micro LEDs kind of came into it. They kind of compensate for those poor native contrast ratios. So if you just had the light on, the native contrast ratio is quite poor. So that's where they have local dimming to turn that off to improve the black levels. So, man, it's so bad because sometimes we say the same thing over and over, and I feel sometimes silly, but it's just buy an OLED. That's it. Like if you're a gamer, there's no better technology.
He asked, what HDR settings do you use for a Samsung QD OLED? Basic, static, or advanced active and contrast enhancer? No, don't use contrast enhancer, full stop. It will just destroy the picture, even it looks bright and stuff like that. But I personally don't like it, so I'm not recommending that. I'm using static most of the time because I'm playing at night. And active is just a little bit too bright then at some point. It's the same like dynamic tone mapping on. So static is absolutely fine. That's what I'm using. And I'm using the so what I'm using is game mode, obviously, and just use the color. Oh, the colors, change it to native. I forgot the option on what it is called. Color, whatever color tone options. Change it to native and then reduce the colors to 15 or maximum 18. What do you like more? Then you get a really nice picture, actually. That's my recommendation.
This next one, about the G4. So SAC56 says, can you tell me the RAM size on your LG G4? My G4 is showing 2.5 gigabytes of RAM, and some sites are showing 3 gigabytes. You have to go to program tuning inside the general and press 1 5 times to bring up the menu. My G4 is nowhere near me right now, but I'd be curious to know why does that matter? Like, unless you're using the TV itself, the apps inside. So he's saying you have to go to the program tuning inside of general. So if you go to the general settings, and is there a program tuning somewhere?
General.
Yeah, and he's saying program tune, and then press 1 5 times.
Okay, 1 5 times.
Yeah.
Wow, we learned something.
We learned something.
Okay, what do I have actually?
How many gigabytes?
Flash. So flash is 1.5. DRAM is 2.6. I don't know if we're talking about DRAM then. It's 2.6. So I see it's probably not visible, or you can't see it.
No, we can't.
But flash is showing 1526784. It's 1000. It's 1.5. I think so. It's 1.5.
I'm just curious. Why is that relevant? SAC56. Just I'm curious because does it? Yeah, I'm just curious why it's relevant. But yeah, if you could add that.
It's the DRAM.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it looks like it's 2.5, but it's showing DRAM 2.6. This is 1, 2, 3. This is 1000. 1000. It's 2.6. Yeah, 2.6.
Interesting.
2.62. I don't know if this, but if this is the memory what is in use right now, then I have more than 2.5, because otherwise it can't be 2.6. Or?
Yeah. I just don't understand why that would be relevant, unless say you're using the TV with apps and you find the TV needs a bit more RAM. But yeah, I'm not sure why that would affect anything, to be honest. But I thought we could perhaps, while we're waiting for a few more questions to come through, touch on a few topics that I put in the thumbnail for this evening's live stream. So one of the topics I wanted to cover was HDMI 2.2. And it looks like there will be a new specification announced. So do you mind if I just do a little bit of screen sharing, Marcus?
Absolutely not.
So I came across this article here. So this is on The Verge, and it says HDMI 2.2 will be announced next month, and it may require a new cable. Which is interesting.
I doubt
it. This is why, and I'll get to that. So, so a lot of people are saying the spec is likely to be HDMI 2.2. So where was it? So yeah, the HDMI 2.1 supports up to 48 gigabits per second, which we know, up to 120 hertz variable refresh rates. Well, that's incorrect, because it goes faster than that, I believe, on the current specs. So there's not much information, but there's quite a few articles that are going around at the moment. So I wanted to share one particular item. When I first started, let's see, window. When I first started learning about HDMI, where's this? I've got an image here I just want to share, so just bear with me. There it is, HDMI 4K speeds. So window, there it is. Share. Okay, so is that somewhat legible, Marcus? Or is it too
Yep,
small?
somehow. Nah, it's okay, but on the edge.
Okay, so I might just zoom in on one side and then
Yeah.
we can kind of get to the other. So let's go over here. So as you can see here up the top, we have resolution, frames per second, chroma, color depth, the data bit rate, and the speed. So as we come down, so it's just kind of, I find it interesting. It's showing you what bandwidth capacity is needed to achieve certain frame rates with what type of chroma, color, and so on. And then it'll also go into if it requires display stream compression, DSC, I believe that's how it's pronounced.
DSC, yeah.
Yeah, so we see here, so we have 4K at 60 frames per second, 444 chroma, full RGB, 12-bit, which I don't think anyone supports, and it says 24.06 megabits. Then you go down here, 4K, 120 frames per second, 48 gigabits. So that's where we kind of reach the cap. So then we have 5K there. If I scroll over to the other side, so where it says Ultra on the right, so it says down the bottom here, display stream compression automatically applied to operate within the 48 gigabits per second link. So for me, I'm trying to comprehend, why would we need a different HDMI specification when we can get 8K, 10K on the current HDMI 2.1 spec if we're using display stream compression. So if I come up here, so 5K, 8K, so this is, I guess, where people would be looking to 8K, 24 to 30p. So you're looking at movies there. So if we come across, you've got full 444, 48 gigabits per second. That's not even using display stream compression. We go to 8K 60, so we're maybe looking at gamers. So that can be achieved through DSC. And then I'm assuming...
So is there a comparison with DSC as well, how much it uses then? Is this the native or...
Well, so what it's saying is,
what it is
if it has the Ultra next to it, even though it says 120 gigabits per second, say for 10K, 120
within
frames.
48 gigabits link.
It's saying it can compress that kind of speed through 48 gigabits. Yeah, so why would we need a different specification, a different cable?
Simple answer, they like to sell stuff.
Yeah. Well, it also leads to the fact where, let me just come back over here.
And with the cable, it's absolutely bullshit all the time they're doing this. There is so the cables are not changing physically. The only thing is, it's the same with Ethernet cables. You know what I mean? So you can use, so the Ethernet cables, they're getting better and better over the time. Cat 5, whatever, until Cat 8 or whatever. They're getting a better shielding and stuff like that to have more speed. Right. But the cable, the pairing, or how many cables are built in, it never changes. Of course, you need to have a proper cable to have a proper, or to transfer data. But this was always the case. If you have a very nice HDMI cable, which is now certified already for 8K, I guarantee you, and this is already more than 48 gigabits, you can use this. Don't go and buy new cables just because someone is telling you. Try it first. If you have issues, then. But
yeah, so it's just interesting. I just came across this article, and there's quite a few articles out there at the moment going on about that. So yeah, I just thought it was a bit interesting to see the capacity that's still available on this current 2.1 standard, and why we would need a different cable. Like, I can see displays, the rumored G5 165 hertz. Cool, that's great. I don't think we need a new specification for that, but yeah, I thought I'd just bring that up. That was one of the things I wanted to discuss this afternoon.
No, that's fine, but I'm looking forward for this, but it will not change. HDMI 2.2, it takes years until we see this, somewhere showing up. You know what I mean? So, and most likely first in the AV receivers, most likely, and then at some point in the TVs. But this takes time, and there's no reason to.
Yeah. I have a wonderful question here from Andre. I've obviously upset Andre. So, too much feeling involved with Adam. He lacks the ability to critically assess something he owns, while Marcus is the best and Adam sucks. So, sorry, man. If I've fallen short, I apologize. I sincerely try not to let my own thoughts and feelings get involved with my thoughts and feedback. Of course, I have my own opinions, and it's generally derived from my own experiences through certain things. But if you feel that way, like, I appreciate the feedback. That's cool, man. I have no problem with people saying stuff like that. So, yeah, thank you for the comment. I don't know where I actually gave that across, but yeah, that's very interesting to hear that. So I'm a little bit upset. But life will go on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah, that's fine. So this was the same. I was going for this one. Gaming tech resolution does not require much bandwidth, but the amount of frames. Yeah, of course. If you increase the frame rate or hertz, then you have the same resolution. Double, 3 times more, or whatever. Yes, but again, that's fine. But it will not change anything on the cable, and you know what I mean. Anyway, so when are we getting? So the other question: when are we getting DisplayPort on our TVs? Why are we not doing
okay.
this?
So is that necessary? Because isn't DisplayPort and HDMI just different forms of the same thing? I know DisplayPort supports a lot higher frame rates and things like that, but aren't they both trying to achieve the exact same thing?
It's the same. The thing is, I think what you have with DisplayPort, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the lengths of the cables are limited. Because you have a higher, transfer rate and stuff like that, they need to make sure that it's actually working. And it's the same story with HDMI. They can use the same cable. If you have a 2-meter cable, you can use this for much more transfer rate. But of course, if you have now a 10-meter cable and they're saying, "Oh, it doesn't work like that anymore." But it's the same with Ethernet, It's the same with Ethernet.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that about Ethernet because I have some Cat5 cables, not even Cat5e cables, and I'm able to achieve 2.5 gigahertz on them without any issue. Obviously, the longer they go, you're going to need higher quality cables, but it proves your point. I've actually seen YouTubers use Cat5 cables, Cat5e cables to do 10 gigabit Ethernet on short runs, but your point remains valid. The cables, are still going to carry the data.
But I have a very bad experience. I upgraded my internet, so I had a 50 Mbit maximum, and then I upgraded to, so it was 100 Mbit and then to 1000 Mbit, so 10 times faster. And they wrote me an email, it's done, and I checked, it's the same speed. Checked. I called them. No, it's done from our end. Must be your end. Okay, let me check my NBN modem, whatever. So I'll let's replace the cable from the modem to my Wi-Fi modem, which is a 50 centimeters cable, which was included with the NBN, and that was the point. And this was such a crappy cable. I used any cable, a 5-meter cable, what I found, plugged it in, 1000 Mbit, and that's not. It was a Cat5e. So that you need to be careful, of course, when you buy stuff. But if you buy already a good cable, don't replace it. Just test it before, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's something interesting. I actually had to help diagnose a friend's network before. They were having the same issue. So there are a lot of people rely on the speed test service to test their bandwidth. And what a lot of people neglect is you should test your actual local area network. So there are quite a few different they're called like local speed test servers. So what you can do is, say you've got a PC, you can set up a speed test server. It's a very small package you can install on your PC, and then say you go to your phone or go to your laptop or another device, and you can actually test the internal bandwidth, because when you're doing a speed test, that's obviously relying on your internal and your external, so you can check for little bottlenecks and Wi-Fi soft spots, so to speak, by using a local speed test server. So that's something if people are interested in trying. But there was another question here. What was it, Andre? Oh, Chad, Andre, considering it seems your Fifi's got hurt. So I'm still interested to see if Andre follows up with that, why he said that. I'm very interested because I don't know what it was I said. But how about this one for you, Marcus? LG will probably adapt in 2026 HDMI 2.2. With 2.1, I took LG 1 year. It took LG 1 year to implement it, which was the C9. And I will certainly say the C9 was way ahead of its time. It was arguably brighter than the C10. Yeah, and it had full 48 gigabits. Very good TV for its time. Yeah, and it's funny because brands like Sony still struggle getting full bandwidth
it's not
HDMI
struggling.
ports.
They trying to save money wherever they can. That's the point. That's what I think, And let's see if it's because we have HDMI 2.1, which is even for the next console generation or the next GPU what we're getting, more than enough. There is no, so that let's see if LG really adapts HDMI 2.2 that quickly. I mean, it would be great, but I don't know for what use then, to be honest, because if the TV doesn't support 480 hertz or have no 8K resolution, what's the point?
Yeah, it gets to a point where there's diminishing returns, because right now the 2.1 spec can easily go up to 8K, 120 frames per second. So an 8K has been tried and failed and doesn't get anywhere. And I just think it's unnecessary. But yeah, if it's going to happen, it'll probably be earliest 2026, because the 25 TVs are just around the corner. So we should get to that as well before we end the stream, a couple of our predictions. So I'll let you get to this one, Marcus.
So IPS is basically an outdated technology. No, I wouldn't say it's outdated. It's just it doesn't get better. When you buy an IPS display now, that's the best you get. And it has all the advantages and disadvantages, okay? And my recommendation is always, if you like to watch movies, don't buy an LCD and don't ever buy an IPS panel for doing that stuff, So go with an VA if you really like to have an LCD screen, but buy an OLED TV or OLED screen. But I would recommend OLED TV, to be honest. Not a screen.
This is something this is a really great question from Q Winger. So do you sometimes feel like you, quote unquote, lost some fun in gaming since being so educated and interesting in the technical part? Like you just stop playing the game and overanalyze too much and try to get the settings correct, etc. Because I sure as hell catch myself being too hyper focused on the tech part and lose fun due to that. So I'll quickly just jump on that. So I've certainly been guilty of that. But I consider myself, I'm more of a generalist, where Marcus is way more hardcore than I am. But I certainly enjoy our conversations. But, when Marcus and I first started the live stream and Marcus was explaining how he feels his G2 performs better than his G4 in uniformity and whatnot, that's when I was saying, do you feel like maybe you're doing a bit of a disservice? Because when you go look for a problem, and it's not just in TVs, in life, when you go looking for a problem, you will find one. So it's just one of those things. Sometimes, like, you want to know if there's dead pixels, if your panels are dud, whatever it may be. If you bought a new car, is it crap? Whatever it may be. But if you go looking for something hard enough, you will find something. And I generally try to put a certain limit on certain things. And you can sometimes lose the magic of fun in movies. Like, I've watched movies and then I'll get the gray bars in the dark scene and I'm stop everything. I need to adjust. I need to do this. It's like, but you know what? No one else saw it, but because I've educated myself, I can't unsee it. So there's certainly some validity to that. So that's a really great question. What about you, Marcus?
Absolutely. And I have, so yesterday was the first time in ages where I actually played just for myself for almost 4 hours. Because usually when I'm playing a game, it's for testing. It's not playing. It's not really enjoying. because you try to do something, you try, it's not playing, it's not enjoying. Yesterday I enjoyed 4 hours, and really, guess what I played? No one will ever guess this, because they thinking about, oh, you play maybe Indiana Jones or this and that. No, I played Dragon Age 3, the HD remake. Because I just like this, this little games, you know what I mean, where you just can relax and play,
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. But you're right. With all the options what we have now, you start a game and it starts to stutter a little bit. Oh, maybe I reduce the settings. So PC is bad, is really, really bad. You know what I mean? It's not as before, when I grew up with PlayStation 1. Just chuck it in and start playing.
Yeah. So Andre, thank you for following up on that comment. So he said he has no horse in this race, but he finds that I get very defensive when Marcus brings up a valid criticism on the G4. So yeah, I'm not aware of that, but if I have, it's unintentional. So maybe that's something I need to be a bit more aware of. I guess, as I said earlier, I come from more of a generalist type of approach where Marcus is super technical and we have great offline technical conversations. Marcus was at my house and, he showed me some things on the TV and we learned quite a lot from each other. So I guess, as I was saying just a moment ago, when Marcus was saying, no, the G2 is better than the G4, as I said, it's certain things, when you point them out, it's hard not to see. So I certainly, and he's just kind of followed up about me having a mental breakdown about when Marcus talks about panel uniformity. It's not that I'm having a mental breakdown. And, okay.
But first of all, it's really the G4 is, or the G2 is really just better in terms of panel uniformity. Okay. That's it. In terms of functionality, what the G4 is offering in terms of peak brightness, the G4 is clearly better. We're talking just about panel uniformity, okay, which is for me a valid point. But I don't think that I didn't, think that whatever Adam said was defensive. He was just for asking questions and following up and maybe pushing a little bit, to get more answers or whatever, which is great.
Yeah, and as I said, like the whole point of Marcus and I having these discussions is to have that back and forth conversation where Marcus will challenge me, I'll challenge him, and it's not because we're being defensive, offensive, aggressive. It's just, or having a mental breakdown. It's as I said,
this one is good.
Yeah, should put it in a super chat. But Prost. Yeah, Prost. So yeah, as I said,
it's really just I enjoy this type of conversation because it's also you should have let's say it like this: if everybody is just on the same level or the same opinion, it would be very, very boring, absolutely boring. And coming back to this topic, with so Adam has an 83-inch TV. That's a complete different panel than my 65-inch. Okay, full stop. And he's right. If you never look for problems, most likely you'll never see a problem. If you're not looking for dead pixels, you will never find them because you can't see them when you watch content. Okay, that's how it is, because they're tiny little pixels. But if you look for them, I can tell you there's for sure maybe 1 or 2 dead pixels on the screen. That's how it is, unfortunately. The same with uniformity issues.
Yeah, and I guess following up on that is, on my 83-inch panel, I have not zero, but I have next to no issues with panel uniformity, which is why I'm actually more curious than having a mental breakdown when I ask Marcus this, because I actually find it very interesting. He's willing to say my G2 looks better than my G4 in terms of uniformity. For me, that blows my mind. I'm not having a meltdown and stuff Marcus. He doesn't know what he's doing. So I find it very interesting if that's how you feel. That's not how I'm trying to come across. So, but look, if you want to hear me get upset about something, I'll talk to you about Samsung, right? I'll talk to you. There's nothing more. Like, I've heard Marcus came to my place. We were talking about QD OLEDs, and the whole time, and Marcus can vouch for this, not the whole time, but a lot of the time, like I was saying to him, because I just made this big investment in the G4. It's like, how does this compare to a QD OLED? I was telling him, is it better? Is it worse? I was picking his brain because I'd love nothing more to go and buy a QD OLED, but I just got royally screwed over by Samsung when I spent a stupid amount of money on the 8K Neo QLED 85-inch, cost as much as a small car, and it was an absolute dud. There's a video on my YouTube channel if you care to go and check that out. I actually have footage of how it was failing. It was flashing, dimming zones were falling apart, and it was a nightmare to get that TV sent back. But I'm just so upset with Samsung, but I still try to remain somewhat neutral just because I don't like Samsung. I'm not going to say QD OLED sucks. So anyway, enough trying to defend myself. Good comment. I will try to not have a mental breakdown next time.
Please not. So Dolce is writing, LG is officially outdated based on panel technology. No one can deny that LG was the best TV brand, but times changes. True. Samsung has now the newest technology. So we need to decide. We need to be careful here, because I still would consider LG as the best TV manufacturer out there, and that's for a reason, not because of the panel technology. It's because of the other stuff, what they're offering, software, connectivity, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So my S95C has issues with certain HDMI cables. Full stop. The One Connect box is crap. The One Connect box is crap. You can have the best panel in the world. If you can't connect stuff to it, it's crap. Okay? So I experienced a lot with cables and HDMI cables, and I found that fiber cables just working. But copper cables, and I have them connected here, 5 meters from here to the PC, they're working flawless. Never an issue. I connect the same cable to the S95C, black all the time. So I had to buy different cable. That's a Samsung issue.
Yeah, and in terms of that comment, I would tend to agree. It seems like Samsung has landed with the better panel technology, I guess. Absolutely. I guess the only thing that's keeping LG competitive, at least in 2024, is the processing. Everyone has been raving about the GeForce processor. It is just, that's leaps and bounds ahead of their older stuff. And if you watch some of the guys who really know their stuff, including Marcus, but Classy and KG, even KG was on one of these streams saying he loves his QD OLED. But then when I finally asked him, which TV would you pick? He goes, the G4, which just it blew my mind. And he was just like, the processing, XYZ, it's so good. But this will lead into our predictions now. So Chad had made a comment. I can vouch for not seeing dead pixels until I look for them, and there were hundreds.
Yeah, don't do
it. Proves both of our points, as in, if you look for it, you will find it. Yeah. And it goes with not just OLEDs, with LCD TVs. You will find problems if you look for them. Yeah. And that's why, again, I was challenging Marcus to say, does he feel like he's doing a disservice when he's saying his G2 is better than his 4? Because people might perceive that as that TV is not as good, when it is better. It's just he's found, at least on his panel, the uniformity wasn't as clean as his G2.
So let's do, because I'm planning to visit you again, I have an idea for a video. Let's check out your 83-inch for uniformity and dead pixels.
Oh, man. Oh, no.
And then he has to buy a new one.
Just throw it out, man. Let's just have to.
You're right. We're looking at, I guarantee you, I put test pattern on and you will be shocked. Absolutely. But those are extreme test patterns. This is what we need to understand. This is how you can determine, hey, my G2 is better than a G4. But I said it very, very clearly. Doing normal content, playing games, there is no issue at all, because you can't see it. Okay, so correct. G4 is a great TV. Don't get me wrong. Okay, absolutely fine.
Yeah, there is a reason why almost every TV YouTuber out there has been either their number 1 or number 2 TV for the year. I think when Vinny Teo on HDTV Test did his competition this year, I actually think the G4 came out in front. So take that as you may, whether I'm defending it or not. That's just the reality of it. So a question from Chad. When you both got your OLEDs for the first time, how many OLED demos did you watch on YouTube? I spent too much time with my jaw dropped in the first time I watched my OLED. So if he's asking maybe about break-in, I did 0 break-in. I just turned on my TV and I used it. But I certainly went back and played some of the HDR movies that I really like, and was very impressed at the specular highlights. That was the first thing that came to me, was just specular highlights. I could see things that just weren't there last time. How about you, Marcus?
Almost every day. No, it's not. But they are better. Actually, there are so many great channels now on YouTube or Netflix HDR movies or whatsoever. It's just fantastic. And I'm comparing this, of course, all the time and watching this. Yeah, but I'm watching a lot. It's addictive, to be very honest. It's addictive. And I still can't understand that some people, when I'm releasing a new video and I'm talking about HDR settings in this game, I get comments, SDR is better. No, it's not. It's not even possible. You must have such a crappy screen. That's my only explanation. But how can you tell or say that if you have a G4 or any OLED TV, C9 or whatever, that SDR is better? It's not possible. Full stop. It's not possible. Anyway. There was a question from Sudip. How to calibrate HDR of Ratchet & Clank PlayStation 5? Yeah, just use the HDR system level calibration with HGIG turned on if you have an OLED TV or LG OLED TV, and it's pretty much on spot. The PC version was different, I think, if I remember correctly. It was slightly under tracking. You put 1000 nits in, it was just 800 or something like that. This is a common, I don't know if it's a common problem, but the same was with Indiana Jones. I don't know why, it's just weird, but it's using the HDR system level calibration. Yes,
okay.
Here. Yeah, so just use HGIG in Firebase. So what I would recommend is not to follow the instruction on the screen. So because the instruction is saying barely visible, just go one step ahead, okay? One step more, that it's not visible anymore. Because the reason is because you rather have a little bit of too much brightness than too less. That's how it is.
Another comment from New and Old. Samsung creates awesome tech, but terrible software and implementation of said tech. 1000%. I have a couple of older Samsung TVs. I have multiple Samsung sound bars. I had the highest end TV Samsung could make with this garbage One Connect box, and I completely agree. And I don't have a QD OLED, but from everyone I've spoken to, everything I've seen, QD OLED seems like the future. But in my opinion, they just can't get a lot of their other stuff right. Like, imagine if they gave those QD OLED panels to LG. Like, I just think hands down they would just nail that.
The difference is that we have Samsung displays and Samsung electronics. So Samsung displays is a light years ahead of Samsung electronics. That's the problem, But I'm looking forward for the G5. The G5 will be interesting. I'm not expecting much because the only thing what is known right now is the 165 Hertz panel. And that's not a big step up if you have already 144 here on the G4, or even the S95C is 144. I'm not sure about the S95B, if the QD OLED back then had already 144 Hertz. But it's not a big step up, I'm not expecting much from the G5, to be honest.
Yeah. And another comment, I will touch on that in a moment. Samsung also has horrifyingly bad customer support. I will agree to that 1,000,000%, which is why I'm very apprehensive to give Samsung any more money. As badly as I want a QD OLED TV, what I went through, months of headaches, tech visits, taking an 85-inch TV on and off the wall several times, damaging my wall, damaging my furniture, arguments, phone calls, emails, months of nightmares. It makes you not want to spend much money with that company anymore. But Fanto Sir, hey, great to catch you live. Thank you very much. Thanks. And another great comment from Dolce. Tech with KG is sponsored by LG.
That's wrong. I'm pretty sure this is wrong.
Come on, man. Come on.
So first of all, I don't know anyone. So I talked to many people about this, and no one is getting TVs sent by LG or Samsung or Sony. That's not how it works. They're not sending TVs out.
Yeah. And another comment. How do you say that?
What is TBF? To
I'm
be
not sure.
forward.
I'm
To
not
be
sure.
cubing
I
up.
thought maybe it was a mistype. It was maybe to BH. To be honest,
Yeah.
most of the
Okay.
details like gray uniformity is basically invisible during normal usage. It's a
Correct.
non-issue for 99, and that's all I
Correct.
was trying to say. So there was no mental breakdown. That's all I was just trying to say is like,
So
you know,
what I mean, most of the people notice we are the 0.1% here. Okay. So even you in the chat, you know, you're the 0.1 because you're watching us. So that's a problem sometimes because we're looking for problems, unfortunately. But
look, it's kind
good.
of a part of our duty. You know what I mean? That's why we're fortunate enough, or maybe not fortunate enough. We have to pay quite a lot of money for these TVs. But when we do this stuff, and there's a lot of people in our community, we are not getting free TVs. We are spending a lot of money, and we are trying to do a service to the community and say, hey, like, Marcus got this, I got this, he experienced that, I didn't, you know, so we're just trying to spread information. So sometimes you might not like it, you might, but yeah, we're just trying to be honest.
Okay, Cedo, to follow up on that, I'm pretty sure because I'm pretty sure Ratchet & Clank on a PlayStation 5 is perfect in regards of HDR output because I'm using this actually to double check my equipment. Okay, so when I'm setting up the back then the G2, you know, for 1000 nits, it was 978 or whatever what I had in my measurements. So it works pretty well in this game. That's my experience, you know. What else do we have? Oh, this one maybe. I don't know if so Anthony is saying Connect box on the S95T is a lot better and pretty much fixed. The B and C were horrible. I had both issues and not a single issue with the D. Okay, that's great. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I played yesterday 4 hours on my S95T. I have a 2-meter cable now, which is working fine. It's not a fiber cable in this case, but I had my PC is here, my main PC 4080. And I bought a 15-meter fiber cable, HDMI fiber cable, to connect this to the S95C if I like to play PC games. And I have 0 issues. 144 Hertz, HDR10 4K, 0 issues. I tried to connect this PC, get it over there, 5-meter HDMI cable, no chance. The 2-meter cable was working,
Wow.
5-meter cable, no chance. Always flickering, black screen or whatever, no chance. The same 5-meter cable is connected here on this G4. I never had any issues on the LG TVs with the same cable, which I own since I bought the CX. So it's an old cable. Samsung is not,
Yeah. With my One Connect box, it was a nightmare. Constant dropouts, problems with sound. I had issues with the TV turning on and off, like even getting the TV to reboot. Man, I just, Samsung, man. They hurt me bad.
I mean, it's actually really good, the One Connect box, if you like to wall mount the TV and stuff like that. But all for other things, having just one tiny cable and whatsoever, and anyway.
Yeah, see, for me, it was just something getting in the way. I think the idea is great because you don't have to run power, you don't have to run antenna,
you have one little
data,
cable.
all these things. You just run this one little cable, which is in principle it sounds great. But I have everything in my main room connected to a receiver, so I just want one HDMI cable from the eARC to go down to my receiver. And that's it. But then I had to have a One Connect box, another box in my cabinet, and everything running from one box to another box. It was just, for me, I'd rather everything on the TV, less moving parts. I just think the less pieces in the chain, there is a less chance of things going wrong. You know what I mean? It's just another thing that you can have issues with, in my opinion. But yeah, so I thought we might just quickly take an opportunity, Marcus, just to touch on one of the other things I wanted to discuss.
Okay.
It's just on the gaming side of things. So let's see. So it appears that Xbox may be done with permanent console exclusives. So I'm just switching gears for a minute and just jumping off the TV bandwagon. But there are quite a lot of videos and rumors going around at the moment that some Xbox insiders are saying Microsoft is shifting away from permanent console exclusivity, meaning that every game is just a matter of time before it will be open platform. So we're talking more timed exclusives
now. Is it not
now.
the same with PlayStation? I mean, it's just a matter
Well,
of time. We're getting this on. Oh, not for Xbox, on PC. Sorry, of course.
Sorry, yeah, because PlayStation, no, I think a lot of their games will always be. They don't have a reason. They don't have a reason to start sharing. Microsoft needs more money because they've spent so much money. They need their games to start being more available so they can make some more money on that. For me, I'm a little bit sad because look, I am an Xbox guy. I have a little Xbox shrine room and all that stuff. And for me, I love the fact that my Xbox has Halo and a bunch of Microsoft exclusives, Gears and whatnot.
I'm fully on your side.
For me, I'm a bit disappointed.
Am I allowed am I allowed to upset some PlayStation 5 fanboys? I think the Xbox is the better console.
You're gonna have that mental breakdown coming.
Software technical point of view, because I tested this. So just one example, okay? Or I have a couple of examples. Let's start with VRR, okay? Xbox supports FreeSync. That means you just need a HDMI 2.0 monitor. You can have a very old monitor and you can enjoy FreeSync in a range, whatever the monitor supports. 20 to 120 hertz is, I think, the absolute maximum. PlayStation 5, 48 to 120, and you need to have a VRR HDMI 2.1 monitor. Why is that? And then one of the worst things I really hate is on the PlayStation 5, because it was very low storage, actually, 600 or whatever, 670 gigabyte usable compared to 800 something for the Xbox. I had to delete a lot of games. On the Xbox, you delete or copy and paste them to an external drive, and you just continue playing. On the PlayStation, this is not possible. You have to stay on the screen and watch until it's done. What the, is going on? That's why, in my opinion, the Xbox, in terms of hardware, because HDMI is hardware related and stuff like that, VRR, FreeSync, and software is just a better console. Games is a different story.
Yeah,
I games.
I agree. I'm not a PlayStation guy personally. I own one, and I do agree, even though a lot of the PlayStation exclusives aren't personally my type of games, but I can certainly agree that PlayStation has the upper hand. I'm not even going to say the edge, because it's more than an edge. They have the upper hand when it comes to gaming and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of exactly what you said, agreed. Microsoft just nailed everything day one, like the copying feature, the way it all configures to the TV, Dolby Vision. Absolutely. So, and actually, one interesting thing, I don't think PlayStation 5 plays audio CDs. Not that many people care, but I believe that Xbox still does, which is very interesting. But
that's weird.
I would like to kind of
use it, but
look, it's just a silly point. No one uses audio CDs anymore.
But why you don't have this then?
It's an optical drive. Just install the app and let us have it. But I remember seeing that. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, someone correct me, but I believe that is correct. But I would like to slowly get to the end of this live stream because I do have to go shortly. But predictions for 2025. So I want to ask your opinion. I want to ask your opinion. Where do you think, because this is, I hope, see, now that comment was made earlier, and every time I talk about LG, in my head, I'm like, am I sounding like an LG fanboy? Am I like getting too defensive? Where do you think LG goes for the G5, the C5 in 2025? What is your prediction? What can they do? I'll let you go first, and then I'll make my comment.
So we know 165 hertz refresh rate. That's what we know. We will not see more HDMI ports. We will see a higher peak brightness, that kind of stuff. But it's not a jump ahead. It's the same what we see from the G2 to the G3, G4, and so on and so on. That's how it is. But the same will happen with QD OLED. There's no jump anymore. And they can make a jump. They would be stupid to make this jump now. They like to, to sell every year a new TV. So.
And what about Samsung? Where do you feel Samsung might go?
So I hope that Samsung goes back to a different screen coding. So because that's also my opinion. The screen coding on the LG G4 is not good if you watch in a bright room. But that's not what an OLED is for. Don't get me wrong. But this was one of the first things I noticed. I put this on and said, "Oh, okay, that's different." Because the G2 or the CX is black. This is reddish, magenta, something like that. Okay, I personally don't like it, but for my office, it doesn't matter because when I'm testing games, it's dark. Okay, there's just a little bit light on. I hope Samsung is going back to a different screen coding. But in terms of technology, I mean, they're already fine. They will increase the peak brightness to 2000 nits probably, which is already possible if I do the brightness hack. So they will just probably do this by factory setting, and then they're probably they're probably way ahead of the G5 probably in terms of peak brightness, because I don't think that G5 or LG can just jump 500 nits again without losing so much color volume. I don't know if this is possible.
Yeah, in my opinion, I look, as much as I have had a very good experience with LG, I have LGs right now. I've kind of switched from Samsung to LG, and look, over time, I'm sure I'll get over it and I will go back and try some of their newer stuff. But I think I'd be silly if I didn't say that I feel like LG has kind of hit the end of the road with WOLED. We can see from the past few years, they came out with that Evo panel with the G1, the G2. G3 was really great with the MLA layer. And then with the G4, we saw an improved version 2 of the MLA layer, but they doubled down on processing. And in my opinion, I certainly feel that if LG didn't come up with this killer processor, they would not be competitive at all this year. Samsung, in my opinion, as I said, I haven't had hands-on, so I'm only going off what I've read, what I've spoken to you about, what I've listened from KG and all the other guys. I know there's you go on about the Game Motion Plus and how that's like a real big deal. Haven't had that experience yet. I would love to try that.
Game changer.
But I just don't think that their processing is as good as LG's, that aside. So in my opinion, my prediction for 2025 is exactly what you said. We're going to get a higher refresh rate on the G5, probably get a brightness bump. And I think the only place they have legs to stretch is on the processor again. They have to double down on the processor again and come out with some really amazing technology, because WOLED has just kind of, it's hit the ceiling. What else can they do any brighter without the MLA layer? Like, you're basically having to push that white subpixel further and further, and you're diluting the colors, and QD-OLEDs are just going to start looking so much better and better. So for me, I just don't see LG really having many places to go. That blue phosphorescent OLED, that's not coming for a few more years. And even so, I don't think that's going to change anything. The only thing I think LG can do is lower the price. And I'm hoping they will lower the price of their OLEDs to slowly start competing with the LCD TVs. In terms of Samsung, I'm very interested and I'm very hopeful for the future to see what they can do with QD-OLED, how far they can push that technology, because I know like it's very early in this. Like, you can look at WOLED and how far, how far has WOLED evolved and how much has it improved over the last 8 years? You know what I mean? Since the C9 all the way through, we've seen these improvements. So I'm very excited to see what Samsung can do. I agree. I hope they get rid of that stupid coating that they put on the S95D. But if Samsung, and it looks like they will, come out with an 83-inch QD-OLED, I think LG is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I agree with you. They need to change the price. It's ridiculous that LG is still the most, or not, Sony is the most expensive one, but they have at least QD-OLED, But LG is so expensive compared to Samsung here in Australia. I don't know why, And yes, there is a better. I would like to have, at some point, a really a blind test of TVs, because always correct me if I'm wrong, but always when we're having this calibration shootout things, everybody knows what TV is what, or not. Or are they actually, really have a blind test and doing it, where you can't see anything, just the screen? Because I would really like to know if you can see a difference in terms of processing, you know what I mean, or colors in certain movies. No doubt about it that if you have a very colorful scene or whatever, HDR colors and above, that the QD OLED will probably look more colorful. No doubt about that. But what if you just watch SDR material? There shouldn't be any difference between the LG and the QD OLED. Even normal HDR material, it's most likely no difference. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
brightness.
Yeah, bright. Yeah. So it's just unfortunate because I feel like if you judge the future somewhat of what the past is, every year it's just, hey, we've got brightness. Hey, we've got brightness. So I really do feel like the G4 was the best OLED that has come out in a long time, simply because of the brightness jump, and the processor has been so strong. I just don't see any more huge jumps, and LG has to come up with something. Where do they go from here? Only they know. But I just think Samsung has the opportunity to really get in front with this technology, and it's up to them whether they execute it well when they come up with good software. I still can't believe this whole Dolby Vision HDR10 Plus format war. I think that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, but they are hanging on because, in my opinion, from what I understand, is the reason they kind of pushed that format because they were the leader in the TV market by far. Now they're no longer the leader. They are reducing their market share every year and year. And that strength they had, that dominance they had to leverage that market share power to influence their format, that is diminishing. I can't even speak. But TCL and Hisense are coming up. LG is reducing, Samsung is reducing. So I feel like they're kind of like, that's a bit of a silly argument now, but yeah, we shall see, man. 2025, we'll start hearing about the new TV soon. I'm super excited, man, but I feel like this next year is, I actually feel sad for LG because I do like them as a brand. They've treated me well whenever I've had issues, as Samsung has been the absolute polar opposite. So I would have liked to have seen LG have something new, but I think Samsung is going to really take QD OLED very far, and I hope so.
Yeah, because we need competition. You can see what's happening with if we don't have competition, you have to pay ridiculous amount of money for a PlayStation 5 Pro. That's what's happening then.
Yeah. Gen X in the Wild said the format war in HDR is a bit different because Dolby Vision is backwards compatible, which is very good. From what I understand, HDR10 Plus is also backwards compatible because they are basically, you have the base layer, the bed layer, which is HDR10, and then you have the premium formats on top. So then you have the Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus. So if you put a Blu-ray disc with HDR10 Plus into a TV that doesn't support it, it'll just roll back to HDR10, and same thing with Dolby Vision. So I think they're both like that. And final questions, guys. Christopher Green, micro LED to hopefully come forward more and lower pricing, mate. I would love to see that, but it's not coming. It is so far away. I don't even know if it will come. It is just so far away. The price to do those kind of TVs, they just haven't got the process down yet. If you look into it, they are literally placing pixel by pixels. They just, they haven't got it. So it's very far away. So I think we will be stuck with OLED for the next 5-10 years. And I'm okay with that. They just need to get the prices down. Like I would love nothing more to go and buy a 97 plus inch OLED. But at least where I live in Australia, I can buy 4 83-inch G4s for the price of one 97-inch, which is, how does that even make sense?
No. Okay. Great. Good live stream.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much, everyone, for the great questions and your contribution this evening. We really appreciate the comments, whether they're positive, negative, or just feedback in general. So thank you so much. Yeah, from me, I wish everyone to have a very wonderful Merry Christmas. Hope everyone is safe. Hope everyone takes care of themselves, and whatever situation you're in, I wish you the best. I understand it can be a difficult time of year for some people. So, yeah, sincerely, I wish everyone the best. And what about you, Marcus?
Same here. Merry Christmas to everyone. Not sure if you're allowed to say this still, but anyway. So now Merry Christmas. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's already just a week, to go, and it still feels. I don't feel Christmas at all because coming from Germany, Christmas is cold. Now we have 40 degrees days. That's not Christmas, okay? How can you have? It doesn't work like that, okay? So mind blowing.
It is hilarious because we grew up with all the American stuff like White Christmas, Santa sled, the snow. Like even now, like all our Christmas trees have, the fake snow on it. You go out into the shopping centers and it's all like fake snow. And I'm like, in Australia, it is the hottest, nastiest time of year. It's like so heavily influenced from Americans. So from you Americans watching, I'm jealous. I would love to have a White Christmas one year, but yeah, from queuing it, nice holidays to everyone.
No. It's good. Now, okay. Again, thank you very much. And
thank you, everyone.
I'm not sure if we're doing this next Wednesday because it's the 25th. I don't think so. Because
I'll leave it up to you, Marcus. I'm keen to do it, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So we'll see.
Let's see. But this is during the holiday season, probably. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, we will.
We'll see. No. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. And we will see you before the new year. And awesome.
Okay. Thank you.